Hey everyone. Today's Facebook Live is a little late today, but we are here and talking about 30 days of UX. This is day 5. Today's question comes from Medita, and Medita wants to know, how can you measure UX optimization when users are familiar to a system and they don't like change, especially existing customers? And how long should we watch numbers before we can let our stakeholders decide and ourselves decide that the changes might be a wrong decision? And this is a really good question because when change happens, people don't tend to react very well. Not always. Sometimes people embrace change and they really enjoy the new thing that's happening. But a lot of times people like to stick with what they're familiar with. And so when you make a big update or you make an update to a significant part of your product, or your application, or your website, people might react really negatively. You can just think about every single time Facebook has launched an update. Everybody is very mad for 2 weeks and then we all get over it. And Medita's question is a good one. How do you know if it's been enough time that you've given the changes time to sort of populate? What feedback do you listen to? What feedback do you ignore? How do you optimize your experience so that when your designs launch, you know you're doing the right thing? And a lot of it comes down to understanding the data that you have and how people are using it differently, and also the feedback that you're getting. So a lot of feedback is very reactionary. I don't like it. This sucks. I'm so confused. And you'll get a lot of that initially. And so you can sort of disregard at least the first weeks of data, probably longer, depending on how vast the changes that you made were. And the other thing that you can do is make sure that you're checking and seeing when people are working with customer service, or if they're looking for help documentation or videos online, are they then figuring it out? And so you want to look at not just what are they saying, but are they doing their job successfully? Are people still logging into your product at the same rate? And are they still completing tasks at least the same rate? So if you see a huge downtick and that never spikes back up as people relearn the system, then you've clearly got a problem. And I would say give it about a month to sort of shake out. And that's when you have pretty active users who are in there at least once or twice a day. This becomes more of a challenge when you have people or a product where people only log in once or twice a week, or even once or twice a month or a year. So for example, I have a bookkeeping system, and because I have a bookkeeper, I only go in there once or twice a month at the most to do any bookkeeping related activities. And so if they were to launch a huge update, it might be a while before I've even seen the update, let alone be able to demonstrate if it's really working or not. However, I'm not necessarily QuickBooks target audience, so for the people who are in there every day, it might be really valuable. So think about how often people might be using your product, and then measure against that as well, so that you are giving more time for people who log in less frequently, and also more support for people who log in less frequently. Because honestly, even if you haven't changed your system, if someone hasn't logged in 6 months, they might not remember exactly how to do all the things they want to do. And so even though there's not a lot of updates, you might still be getting those complaints. And the best thing to do is to arm your teams in advance. So you want the designs you put out there to succeed if they're going to succeed. So you don't want people getting confused because it's new. So you want to arm them in advance. You want to tell them updates are coming, warn them 2-3 weeks in advance, even a month or two in advance if you know. Give them a preview of the updates that are happening. Make sure you've really trained your customer service team to understand how the updates are different from previously, so that when they get calls or emails, they can respond really effectively. Make a lot of really solid videos and get a lot of customer feedback. Another great way to do it is to have a voluntary beta program. What I don't recommend doing is doing a beta program where you don't let people volunteer and you just switch a bunch of people to the new stuff early. I know a lot of companies like to do that, but it can be really frustrating, especially if you're trying to work with someone in a software and suddenly their view is completely different than your view. How do you collaborate when that happens? It can be really a challenge. And so at the end of the day, when you're putting changes out there and your stakeholders are ready to say after a week, oh, this isn't working, go back to the numbers and say, hey, stakeholders, you know, people don't log in very often. They only log in about once a week. And so we need to give them a lot more time, because we need to make sure that the problems are really about understanding the system or if the problems are really about understanding the system versus versus the actual design changes that we made are not as good as we thought they were. And you can always do some usability testing to help you figure this out as well, just to sort of support the conclusions that you're drawing. And if you feel that after a month or two, you're still not sure, do some usability tests at that point to see if you can get a little bit more insight. I'm sure plenty of people using your stuff would love to give you feedback. And so just reach out to them and see if you can get some volunteers. And that's what I would say in terms of timeframes that you want to wait to start to measure if something is really a bad design or if it's being successful. All right, that's it for today. I hope you all have a great weekend. I won't be back with videos until Monday, but I will be posting a few things just to keep you excited about life and sort of keep you moving forward on your path. Again, if you have any questions that you'd love for me to answer, I am doing this for the next 25 more days, and I'd love to answer your question. So email me at hello@pixelsforhumans.com or just comment below. Thanks so much. Bye.